All right. How y'all motherfuckers doing? Is anybody excited for this? Because I feel like this has been the biggest game period in my life in the last 10 years, and I think it'll be for a lot of you guys too. It's like um using the same skill set but a different set of leverage to earn your income, and in doing so, I think it just makes it more fun. Like legit makes it more fun. Besides that, you'll make more money. Like that part doesn't suck, but it like legit makes it more fun. Um, just gonna share screens here, you guys, for a minute here. I'll tell you what this actually is in just a second. Um, and just a heads up for you guys, I do have an
Are you
offer
there?
in here that
Hello?
you guys will have the option to take. I'm going to tell you about it for about 5 minutes,
Hello, are you there?
and then we're just gonna. I think that's you, Howard. I'm just gonna mute you just because I think you're doing some other stuff there. I don't know why that's not working. Um. So, anyways, let's get into it. So kind of the big idea here is I want to show you guys how to turn expertise, service, coaching, consulting, really all those things that are like intellectual thing into tools. And I'll tell you the biggest reason to do it is that when you sell services or you sell coaching or you sell consulting, things like that are expertise driven, there's a lot of implied things on the fulfillment side of it. So the bane of my existence was the, can you give me a call real quick? The fucking unplanned. It's never a good thing, by the way, when they want you to call real quick. They never call you to say everything is amazing and we're super happy and we just want to give you millions of dollars, and we wanted to tell you that. It's always like, what the hell's going on with our campaign? So there's that aspect. Some of the other implied things about like selling services is there's reporting baked in, there are updates, and there's kind of the implied like just the bots in the chat. Um, the implied like clients can cancel any minute. And since we've switched over to a more tools focused business, most of the work after people buy shit is here you go, here's your downloads. Um, so I want you guys to have the joy of just going, here's your downloads in order for you to sort of earn your living without all the meetings, the reporting, the updates. And so I'll tell you, this will be specifically useful for those of you guys who either A, don't like fulfillment, B, find you're just not very good at it, or C, you just don't want to fucking do it, right? Like, um, scaling without having fulfillment, I'll tell you, is one of the things that will make your life significantly easier. And I'll tell you why. This is part of the equation that I never realized before, is that whenever you sell a service or coaching or consulting or expertise, there's implied energy of fulfillment, right? Like nobody really talks about this, but if you look at the full trade, the money and the energy required, like I mentioned, like a lot of that energy comes in the form of client updates, meetings. You got to actually do the thing, you got to report, and all that. And so every time you make more money, you sign yourself up for like more shit you got to do, more to dos. And that doesn't apply to tools. And to give you the ultimate example of this, and I kind of wrote about this in my second book, but Elvis made $100 million last year, despite the notable handicap of fucking being dead. He's fucking dead, and his estate made 100 million. But you know what they had to do for fulfillment? It was all 100% licensing. So people say, "Can we use your song in our music or in our commercial? Can we use your song in our movie? Can we use your song in our TV show?" And he says, in his estate, says, "Yeah, here's the MP3. Enjoy." I don't even know if they give you the MP3 or if you got to go figure it out on your own, but they give you the rights to it. And so Elvis made $100 million last year, despite the notable handicap of being dead. And so whenever you sign new people up for a service, it's just implied that there's more to dos, and there are definitely ways to scale those to dos, and team members and systems and things like that. But ultimately, you find that most service businesses, this is not just unique to our world, like digital marketing agencies. The same thing is true of accountants. The same thing is true of restaurants and things like that. Is service businesses can be scaled, but motherfuckers have a real hard time doing it because um you know, like it just requires more and more energy to scale it. And so I'll have people sometimes tell me that service businesses don't scale. And they do, but man, it's really fucking hard, right? But you compare that to like Elvis, for example, scaling, here's your MP3. that motherfucker scales a lot easier. And like I said, Elvis made $100 million last year, despite the notable handicap of being dead. Um, so, um, some of the implied things that I mentioned is like clients saying, can you call me right away? Oh, we decided to go a different direction. When are we going to see results? I need some updates. When is this going to start working? And there's lots and lots of reportings and updates. And a lot of times, at least for me, it was more the updates and the having to let them know what's going on that weighed me down more than the actual fulfillment of what we were actually doing. So I'm not necessarily saying that would be true of you guys, but man, like when I did SEO for like 10 years, the bane of my existence was having to tell people about the SEO I was doing because it was already enough fucking work to have to rank a website. And so, you know, there's just a lot of time where you're sitting in a dark room, you're building ads, funnels, websites, content, GBPs, links, stuff like that. And if you do it at any level of scale, pretty much everybody I've ever met doubts their ability to deliver some sort of world-class result consistently. And as a kind of illustration of this, Gary Halbert, any of you guys know Gary Halbert, famous copywriter? He's dead now as well, but he used to be one of the OGs, one of the most famous copywriters who ever lived. He actually did an event one time and he had a hat on it that said clients suck. And he said, don't even try to hire me as your copywriter because clients suck. And he said, don't follow me to the bathroom. And he said, as soon as he went to the bathroom, people followed him in and said, hey, I know you're not looking for clients, but, so, you know, often the hardest part is just managing the person and their expectations and things like that. But I'll tell you, when we switch to more selling tools, the hardest part of it is, hey, I didn't get my download link. And then I go, no problem. Here's your link. Sorry about the technology goofing up. Sometimes you got to answer a question or two about the material. But the reason I like tools so much is that as you sell more, your work doesn't scale with it. So like, and one thing I want to iterate, and we'll get into some examples. So like, hopefully like, I'll spell this out super clear for you guys. But I think a lot of people think tools means courses, and tools more in my definition means intellectual property. They're things that actually bring people results. So a course is like 45 modules I'm going to learn you. I'll give you an example of actually a deal that I just put together last week. I was at an event in Miami. Some of you guys know him, Josh Nelson, 7-figure agency. And one of the guys there, Nick, he showed off his Facebook ad system that was acquiring clients. So he had these exact ads, a video he was using, some templates and some retargeting stuff, and a landing page. And I said to him, I said, hey, Nick, yeah, that's right. We should have hung out, by the way. Had I known, we should have planned that. But he said to me, or I said to him, sorry, I said, Nick, is there any chance you would ever license that system? Like where I could, you know, sell it to other people in different industries. We could templatize it and we could rent it out to other people. And, you know, I would just send you a little commission check every time we use it. Would you be open to something like that? And he said, hell yeah, because everybody likes royalty checks for doing nothing. And so just like that, we got control of a system. And this is why I say it's not a course. I'm not buying a course. I'm not going to create a 47 modules if we're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to license out. All good, Stefan. Yeah, with AI, there's tons of unrealistic, and also like people just been overselling the shit out of stuff for like 20 years. I guarantee, like I had a guy message me the other day, said, with our cold outreach system, we're going to guarantee you 300 to 500K per month minimum added to your bottom line revenue in the first month alone. And I thought, like, what happens if he only generates me 75K? Am I going to go, you son of a bitch? But the cool thing about it is when you rent tools, tools are really intellectual property. And so like when I license Nick's Facebook ad system, there's no work for me to do other than to go, here's your templates. If you have any questions about how to implement them, there might be a video or two for how to use the tool. But for the most part, like you're buying the tool, not the 47 modules if I'm going to learn you. So I want to give you guys some examples of like people that like I have friends of mine that I have doing this in real time. Some of you guys will know these people. Um, this is one of our mastermind members, actually, in the Wolf Pack, Rebecca Duran. So give you a little bit of backstory on Rebecca's stuff, how she went from services to tools. So she started as a martial arts studio owner in San Antonio, Texas, and they did a really good job filling their school. It obviously like took them years and years to figure it out, but they eventually figured out marketing and Facebook ads and things like that, and they filled their karate school. And if they wanted to scale that business, it was going to be like, as I mentioned, like exponential fucking effort, right? So for them, it meant they would have to open up another school in Dallas and another, like they would have to open up all these schools across the state, and she would spend her time driving around. So then she got the idea, maybe I'll start an agency for martial arts studios. And she went down the path that a lot of people do. And so she started running Facebook ads, and she ran into all the same fucking challenges. Can you call me? I need a report. I need an update. We're going to cancel. We're not seeing results quick enough. When are these campaigns going to kick in? All these sort of questions and things like that. And today, she has a licensing agency. And what's pretty awesome to me is I think they do somewhere between like 1.5 and 2 million annually. Is she does not work for clients. She simply says, we have a winning system. You can license it from us. You can sign this agreement, and every month you use it, there is a fee. Her fee is $1,000 per month. And you can use our winning ads. You can use our winning landing pages. And she set it up inside of High Level. So it's super easy for them to implement in a couple of clicks. And that's it. You rent access to her ads and templates, and you run your own ads. Like that's a key distinction. It's like you run your own ads, but we're giving you the winning intellectual property. So you don't have to figure this out. And there are a couple of videos and a little bit of training to help support people, but they're mostly buying the winning ads, the winning landing page, the winning templates. Another one some of you guys will know, Sam Carlson, friend of mine, he's got a software called UpHex. So for a period of time, Sam was the Facebook ads guy for chiropractors. So he ran a typical service like you can imagine, and all the typical service trappings came with it. Can you call me, Sam? When are we going to start seeing results? I spent $800 in ads. Why am I not a trillionaire? Give me an update. You know, we're thinking of canceling. We're not getting ROI quick enough, all those kind of things. And what Sam decided to do, because he ran Facebook ads in several different industries, is build a library of working ads and simply rent access to them. And so, by the way, to my original point here is, you know, the service, all the implied energetic things you got to do. When he gives you your winning library, you go, thank you, here's access to your winning ads. Give you one more example of me doing this. So it's not my favorite way of getting clients, but I've helped a lot of people over the years to land clients with cold outreach. I could run a cold outreach service and go and contact a bazillion people and run around trying to book appointments and get people on the calendar and all the things people say. But I decided just to templatize it, to create tools, and rent access to it. So I'm like, I give you my winning messages and things like that. And you get that. So because I wanted to make the distinction between, I hope you guys are picking up what I'm throwing down. Maybe you guys could actually just let me know if you got any questions so far in the chat, or if you're picking up what I'm throwing down, just say picking up. But I'll show you kind of how to kind of position your thing as a tool. Okay. These are the most common tools to sell. Like, this is not the complete library. I'm not giving you guys every little thing that can be sold, but templates is turning your winning shit into ads, funnels, websites, easy plug and play templates, stuff with like pre-written copy, layouts, maybe high-level snapshots, basic automations, custom GPTs. I'll give you an example of a custom GPT. This is something that you can do almost with anybody else's IP. You don't even have to create stuff. Would you guys rather have, on one hand, a Facebook ad course that is 75 modules that tells you how to create winning ads? Or would you rather me give you my AI tool that's programmed on those 75 tools that at the click of a button helps you create your winning ads? Well, I don't know if you're like me, but most people would rather just give me the fucking tool to go do it, right? Not give me 75 hours of homework to go understand it. Automation. So you see a lot of people selling like high-level SaaS. what they're really selling is really the tools to go chase down prospects. So you can do this in high level. Some of you guys may know what N8N and Make is. It's kind of like Zapier. I don't know how you say that shit. Zapier. I call it Zapier. For AI, so you can connect together applications. So like it's kind of like paint by numbers. So you can make almost anything. So you can go, for example, like we're building a tool in real estate that it analyzes properties for the Mr. Fix-It type and gives him an estimate of how much it would cost. So inside of N8N, step one is the person uploads their pictures. Then it sends it over to a picture analyzer. It makes a list of all the stuff that's got to be done. Then it passes that information over to a spreadsheet, figures out the calculation. Then it takes all those calculations, puts them over into a report. And in a couple of button clicks, person uploads their photos. They get back, here's how much it's going to cost you to fix this thing and how long it's going to take, with plus or minus 5%. And that's all done with AI automations. That's a tool we're renting, by the way. I mentioned like kind of micro SaaS. For some of you guys, we finally live in an era where you can make apps and things like that. Even if you're like me and you don't know how to code, there's tools like Bolt and Windsurf and Claude and Vibe Coding where you can make little micro programs that help people solve problems without actually having to know how to make code. You can just describe your app. Affiliate stuff, some of my favorite place, sell other people's shit. By the way, this is one of the things I wish I knew 10 years ago. If anybody else you've ever met has working shit and you just say to them, hey, I'd like to license your stuff and pay you a little fee to use it, would you be open to it as long as I don't sell it to your direct competitors? In the history of me asking that question, nobody's ever said no to, can I give you a royalty check? That's not true, actually. On rare occasion, they do say no. So even if you're like sitting on, I got nothing working, I got no clients, don't matter, because you can license other people's shit too. In fact, often when you ask them, they don't even want a fee. In fact, I remember one of the things we did for our lawyer clients back in the day. I met a lawyer who had this little business card. It was a really clever business card he was giving away that said like it looked more like a gift certificate just printed on a business card and said, this entitles you to one free $275 consultation because you're a friend of so and so. And I asked him, I was like, that's a really good idea. Can I use that for some of my clients? And he said, have it for free, right? So like, it doesn't even always cost money. That is another tool that could be licensed. So I want to give you guys the mental shift, which is, what I'm going to do, just so you guys know, I'm going to show you an offer that I think is really complementary to this. We'll spend 5 minutes there, and then we'll get into like, let's actually build some of these. I don't want this to be like a just talking webinar where we just shoot the shit and you guys listen to me kind of like one way as the speaker, but like, let's actually build some templates and tools here live on the workshop. But the shift is, I'm going to do it for you, which always requires effort, to being more like Elvis saying, I will rent my intellectual property to you. This is, by the way, the more and more we do digital stuff, this is what I realized is, I really wish I understood this 10 years ago. We are renters of intellectual property. If you think about yourself mentally as a service provider or an expert, I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm not saying you can't scale that. I'm just going to tell you that's really fucking hard. If you rent intellectual property and you are good at selling and making offers and worse at keeping promises and building teams and systems and doing updates, I think you're going to find this the sexiest thing you've ever done, because all you're doing is just renting templates and tools and things like that to people. The same way that, by the way, I don't know if you guys remember in the California gold rush, the guys who got real rich weren't the guys who found gold. They were the guys who sold the shovels and the pickaxe and the tools to sift. So I want you guys to be the ones selling the shovels, the pickaxes, the tools, not the doing, the everything else. And a key piece of this, like why Rebecca and Sam are easier to get paid for their tools, is you have to make it so your tools are easy for people to implement. So I'll give you an example of this. I'm always busting on engineers because I used to be an engineer in a former life. So some of you guys who are engineers, I'm going to talk shit about you for a second. But like, the wife went and bought some lawn chairs that we just take to the beach. They're basically just like beach chairs, and you fold them up and take them to the beach. And she bought some like that were basically almost brand new from like a secondhand store. They got tons of them close to us. So the Segundas, as she called them. And she went and bought some beach chairs. And we got one of these chairs at the beach, and I folded it up and sat in it. I don't know if you guys have ever had an experience like this, but I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to make that motherfucker fold back up. And even though it was simple and it was straightforward, there was no little instruction manual that just said there's a little button underneath. You got to push the button. Once I found the button, by the way, it was super easy, but I spent 10 minutes trying to find the button. So when you do create tools for people, you got to give them just enough training to be able to go use it. So like in Rebecca's case, she walks them through how to click a few buttons and swipe and deploy her winning Facebook ad. Same with Sam. He's got a couple of videos. He's got a simple wizard that walks you through setting up your first ad, connecting your first client. In this one, the outreach one, I had, yeah, good thing I'm an engineer. I can't follow engineer logic. There's enough videos that explain how to use the templates. So I'm going to give you guys real quick. We'll just spend 5 minutes. I'll give you guys an offer that I think is really complementary to this. Is if you want to sell fucking buttloads of tools, it is not a requirement, but your life will be significantly easier if you have an audience of people to sell them to. And as a matter of this, what I'm going to show you, I typically use for Facebook groups, but it works honestly just as well for email lists. It works just as well for Instagram. I bought YouTube channels, and almost always you'd be amazed at how often you can get fully finished audiences for under $100. So I actually just closed on this 10 minutes before this training, but I just bought this Facebook group of almost 17,000 people. I'm going to sell them my AI tools because I actually spent $200 on this. I posted to the guy. I said, I'd give you $100. He said, hey, I'm in a really tight situation. Is there any way you could give me 200? And I'll tell you the reason you can buy audiences instead of what most people do, by the way, when they try to build an audience is you post content every day and you run fucking ads and you do all this kind of shit and it works, but man, it takes 5 years to build an audience as somebody who's like built more than one of them. It can be done, but it's way easier just to find somebody who went 99 yards up the field. In this case, the guy's name was Ben, and Ben just got too busy, started neglecting the group. He's not really paying attention. He's not really using it. He's not really monetizing it. And there's still work because he's got to delete spam and shit like that. So I said, hey, I'll give you $100 for it. And he said, I'm in a really tight situation. Can you give me 2? So I said, all right, I'll give you 2. Here's another one, by the way. I have not yet closed on this one, but I'm likely to buy it. These are all like ClickFunnels people. There's 4,000 of them. And like I said, this works with email lists, like whatever social media platform you're on. There's always somebody who built an audience, doesn't know what to do with it, and would happily sell it to you for pennies on the dollar. So if you guys want to be able to do that, and by the way, we've had people, I'm not saying this is always what happens. Where do I find them? It depends on the industry, but a lot of times I'm just like one-to-one messaging them, or I post and say, I'm interested in buying a group, who's got one that they would, and I specify which niches I'm looking in. But here's Adam, for example. He bought a group and turned it into 475 bucks a month. Like the second he bought it, the first hour, he probably overpaid because he got it for 1,200. Which is usually higher than most people pay. But in one of the strategies that we've got inside here is all he did is just say, hey, there's always somebody who's in your group or your community because they're trying to monetize it. And he just said, hey, we're doing a sponsored listing. Who wants to do a sponsored listing? And somebody said, I'll give you 475 bucks a month. So like in the first 10 minutes, you can monetize that group. I could do that in both of these groups, by the way. I could say, hey, who wants a sponsored listing? And somebody would go, me. Yeah, like as I mentioned, why would somebody else sell a group or an audience or an email list or a YouTube channel? It's all kind of the same, mostly because they start it with good intentions and then it becomes work and they don't know how to monetize it. So they give up. So I just want to show you guys how many times like Max, his group, by the way, I'm in it. It's a guitar group, a music group. It's almost 150,000 people. He bought it for $80 US. And of course, he can sell them all kinds of music shit. I actually don't know what this group is about, but Majid bought it for 38,000 people for $100. This guy Dave got 3 different groups for $300. Lukeman got a 30K member. Zach's bought 30 of them in the past 2 years. So he's going on baller status. Alex here got a self-storage group, 20 people. That's a little on the higher side, $700. It's up to you if you want to pay that much for it. Most of the groups I get are for under $100. Sometimes people will even give them to you for free. So Lewis, for example, he sells junk removal clients. He does SEO for them. And a guy, he messaged him, said, would you ever consider selling the group? And the guy just said, you can just have it, and just gave him the fucking community just like that. John got a 67K member group. Alex, same deal, 20K people. Rich, travel community, over 217,000 members. So you don't have to have this, just so you guys know. But if you want to sell a boatload of fucking tools, of course I can help you with this, Aaron. But it's a much faster way to acquire an audience than to build one from scratch. So, and by the way, you can usually do it same fucking day. So like, this isn't like a long runway, takes years and months and decades to work, because there's tons of people in every direction that, you know, started a community, started a channel, started an email list, spent 3 years building it, then got distracted by the shiny object, didn't figure out how to monetize it, gave up on it. And usually it's completely worthless to them and they're not planning on using it. So when you say, you know, I'd give you $50 for it, they might go, hey, you know, I'll give you 70. How about 75? And that's it. Also show you guys, I got templates for reactivating the audience, because sometimes I wouldn't recommend buying any group that's overrun with spam. But if the audience is dormant, we know how to reactivate them. And you can plug in like your first offers. That's a little bit of the secret sauce. Is you know, I gave you guys one of the ideas there, but you can basically go, you know, like we're renting, you know, sorry, what did Nathaniel say? Oh, he got one too. I know you got one. Yeah, there you go. There you go. He just posted it. There's one way to get a group. Yeah, that's my post, but so it's a good one. But you just say you got a group you're not using. I'd like to pay you for it. And usually, by the way, you get a lot farther in conversations if you're trying to give people money rather than ask them. So like, you know, I know it's a little bit of quote unquote cold outreach, but I'm telling you, cold outreach is night and day when you go, hey, do you want to buy my shit versus can I give you money for that thing you built? It's like, it's a night and day different experience. But we got offers you can plug and play. And I also have a tool, by the way, will tell you everything they're already buying. So you can like go become an affiliate. It's like Max, for example, like we did some of this where, where's Max? His guitar group. We found out like they're buying guitars, they're buying picks, they're buying amps, they're, you know, they're listening to certain artists. So we started like monetizing with those different things. This is kind of like, if you guys want to go this route and have me over your shoulder helping you monetize the group, I got a bunch of shit, basically. I'm not even going to read it all to you guys, but, you know, I got scripts for negotiating it, you know, track your deals, instant offers so you can turn it into cash. Affiliate offers, by the way, I got tools. So I literally have my own GPTs that will, you give the details of your group. It'll go scan the internet. It'll find out what they're already buying. And it'll give you a list of the affiliate programs. You just sign up for it. And so in Max's case, it can be as simple as, hey, there's this new amp that's really great for playing blues guitar. Who wants a link? And then he shares his affiliate link and there is cash that appears relatively quickly. We got the outreach automation SOP. Basically just a bunch of things for you guys to turn it into cash. And I'm going to be there supporting you because this is something that for me is a source of finding deals. So that's how you get me in your corner, because I make money this way when somebody goes, hey, how can I monetize this group? And we put together something and all of that. And so you get a library of shit, basically. So if you guys are interested in kind of shortcutting the audience, which nobody else really talks about, you can go to beyondagencyprofits.com, and this is called the group Goldmine, but it's just Goldmine. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. I have no fancy copy or anything like that. I just have a page that goes to payment links. That's it. So if you guys are interested in that, check that out. I would encourage you to get communities no matter what. Because man, it's the fastest way to monetize. It's like in the last fucking 24 hours, I haven't closed on this one yet, as mentioned, but I just got 20,000 people to go sell tools to. It's kind of a shortcut than building this yourself, right? Like starting from scratch. It would take me 5 years to build an audience of 20,000 people that are certainly, and there's going to be some things to clean up and things like that. But anyways, what I wanted to do first is if one of you guys, like we can do, I was hoping to do this workshop style. If one of you guys, I think ads are probably the easiest one. If you're running ads for a client, I wanted to show you guys how to templatize something so you can sell it as a tool, kind of like Rebecca renting access instead of a service where I got to be the one pushing the buttons and doing it. So is there somebody out there who's currently running Facebook ads for client? I don't have any more talk, just so you guys know. So my plan was like, let's actually build some stuff here. And by the way, again, I want to reiterate, if you're starting out and you don't have tools, it don't fucking matter, because if you just ask somebody else, hey, that tool that you created that's working, could I go sell that to other people who aren't your competitors and pay you a royalty? Generally speaking, they always say yes. So other people's shit can be yours too, like with one little ask. In fact, my phrase I said to Nick in Miami was, Nick, I want to show you why your new favorite word in the English language is going to be royalty. I meant that shit when I said it too, by the way. So nobody wants to be a guinea pig first? Come on, guys, we got something.
I'll do it. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Tell me what to do.
Well, let's take a service somebody's got, and so Amanda, let's start with Amanda, because I saw your post. Amanda, you down to be a guinea pig? Said
Cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She
Great.
said, I sell AI services, not ads. Give me a little bit of background story on what you're doing for them right now.
So basically just building AI inside of their and connecting AI and high level, and so that they are making sure that every single lead that's coming in from their ad spend is getting answered immediately, followed up with, qualified, and booked. That's it.
Yeah. That would be super easy to just like, you wouldn't even have to build anything. You would just have to templatize what you already got. So I'll tell you kind of a little bit just like of how we're doing it with Nick's stuff. So Nick has some Facebook ads, and they start with calling out his audience. So it says like urgent care centers. That's what he runs. We were able to get this result, and this result. If you want to see how it works, go over here to book a call. It goes to a landing page that kind of reiterates that copy and things like that. So this isn't finished yet, but it'll be ready, sometime next week or the week after. But part of what we're doing is I just took urgent care centers and replaced it with call out your niche and put brackets here. And we were able to get result 1, result 2, result 3. So I think about your templates. I'm assuming like a missed call text back is probably something similar to like, hey, we were busy on a job. We'll call you back in like 20 minutes. Is it something like that?
Yep, something, yep, exactly. Or just reaching out or responding to whatever reason they came in from, right? Or whatever ad they came in from, or a missed call, just some sort of communication where a lead has come in and the AI is just having the conversation instead of a human having to get back to them later.
Yeah, I think if you templatize that really, really easily, you could rent that super, super easy as intellectual property. One of the things that I did, because I serve a lot of agency owners. So we have a setup inside of Closebot. I'm sure you're familiar with it if you're doing what you're doing, where for those of you guys not familiar with Closebot, it's like it can handle replies in like text messaging sequence. It's like an AI sales kind of tool. And the hardest work of the whole thing is once you have the templates built out, you have to kind of like give a lot of background information about that business to Closebot. Like you got to give it frequently asked questions. You have to give it the hours of operation. You have to give it the service areas. And so one of the things that I've done like to make it easy for people to implement is I built a custom GPT that asks you all those questions and then automatically in like 30 seconds creates the help file that you then import into Closebot. And so you can get up to speed in like 30 seconds. And so for me, it allows me to like rent a tool without having to customize every single setup, because the plumber's hours are going to be a little bit different, the services they offer are going to be a little bit different, the locations they serve are going to be a little bit different, but nonetheless we created a tool that actually creates the tool. So you may want to try something like that, I think, in your case.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, from a positioning perspective, this is another thing I never really understood, but the difference between these two things, like, I want you to imagine two scenarios, and then I'll kind of relate it to your thing. But scenario one of like, I make websites. I'm a custom website builder for hire. Hire me and I'll make you a cool ass fucking website. And everybody who's been through that process knows it usually takes 2 to 8 weeks typically of back and forth to get the website and everybody's happy and it's dialed in. Versus, we have a guy in our mastermind. He came to me. His name's Tarek. He had previously ran a cleaning company, and he made this website for cleaning companies. And he first kind of made it for himself. And what he found is when you run a cleaning company, the worst part of running the like a cleaning company is most of the phone calls you get is quotes. Like, how much is it for this? How much is it for that? I got 6 rooms. I got a house. I got an office. How much is it for this? And so he built, even before AI was a thing, he built a little widget on the site where you go in and ask it, you give a couple of details and it'll spit out probably between, $300 and $400 kind of thing. And so his question when he came to me was, how do I get more web design clients? And I said, hey, Tarek, you're really in the intellectual property business. The question you should be asking is, how can I rent this exact website more times? Rather than hire me and I'll build you a custom website, how can you sell the tool you've already built 100 more times? And so he started just finding clients, and his pitch went from hire me as your custom guy and I'll build you a website to, hey, we got a working website that'll eliminate all the tire kickers who call you up all day long and ask for how much it is, and leave only the people who know how much it is and still want to work with you, and get you those qualified phone calls. And you can just try it out for 2 months. And if you like it, at the end of that, I'll rent it to you for $199 a month, and you can keep it for as long as you want to keep it. There's no contracts. You can cancel at any time. And what I realized through going through that process is the second pitch is way better. So kind of relating that to your stuff, like, Amanda, I'm the custom AI programmer for hire is a harder sell than I already built the system that will convert all the leads, follow up with them, chase them, missed call, text back, etc. And if you want access to it, it's, whatever price you want to charge for it, like in your industry, and just say go and I'll swipe and deploy it. It's actually a more valuable proposition for it's already done and we can have it set up. And as a bonus, you could be like, normally I charge, $1,000 for the setup, but if you agree to keep it on for 6 months or whatever, I'll do the setup included, or kind of thing, that kind of thing. But I think
so like it's thinking about like things that I can templatize that would make their life easier. So if an agency or whatever, just an individual GHL person is doing Closebot or AI, what can I build and templatize that they can take and use over and over that would make their jobs easier?
totally.
That's basically what you're saying.
And I would even take that a level further, and I'd say, what have you already built that fits that description? Because
Right.
it's not like you got to go build it. Chances are you built it, you just didn't templatize it.
Yeah.
Like in Tarek's case, he already built the websites. He didn't have to go make websites. He was just trying to find more people to pay him for websites. And I was like, no, you need to sell the website you've already built.
Yeah. Right. So, right. Instead of having every single like thing is a custom project, which is how it is now. And I hate it.
Yeah.
One more question just before you move on.
Yeah.
I think we're talking a lot about building things for other business owners, right? Or for other marketers. But what I would really like to do is I would like to build templatized tools and just one time or two time or whatever products for an audience that's not necessarily business, right? So like I've got a pretty big following on TikTok for just like midlife stuff, like, women my age, like marriage, teenagers, perimenopause, taking care of older parents, like that kind of stuff. And I've started to build some tools for that audience. Do you think that kind of thing can be templatized too as well?
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit outside my wheelhouse for it, but I'll show you
Okay.
how kind of I do it. I'm going to give you guys a tool right now that I built for that. The first thing I like to ask myself in that case, whenever you get an audience like that you have, let me just find this right here. Oh, you know what? I know where I got it. The first question I ask myself is not like, what can I sell them and what tools? The first question I ask is, what are they already buying? So I just posted a link. I call it my distribution monetizer, but you give it a few details about who the audience is, and it'll tell you what they're already buying. And so, like,
Okay.
one of the simplest things you can do is become an affiliate for the things they're already buying. In fact, like,
Mm.
one of the reasons I became a high level affiliate is not because I woke up one day just madly in love with automation software. Is that if you talk to enough people in my space, they just kept saying GHL, GHL, GHL. And I realized everybody was buying it. So I might as well become an affiliate of the thing they're already buying. And so in your case, obviously it'll be different stuff, but like,
Right.
you know, what are midlife kind of women buying? I don't know the answer to that question, but that thing will tell you. And then
Okay.
anything they're buying can be templatized, or, you know, you can be, for when it's a physical product, you can become an affiliate for it. But the
Yeah.
other thing too that I wish I knew is, as long as you're selling them stuff that actually helps them,
Yeah.
and like you're being like you're sifting through the garbage. So like you're doing
Yes.
10 minutes of research to make sure this is actually a good product you're recommending.
Right.
I'll tell you one of the simplest things I do. Like if somebody says, hey, I want you to be an affiliate for blah, 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 I turn around and ask my mastermind members, has anybody used this? Do you like it? If they say it's shit, that's the end of the conversation. Like I'm not interested. But if they say, oh
Right.
yeah, I use it, I love it, then I turn around and go, okay, I'm your affiliate. And so you're just doing a little bit of quality control on like products.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is, often you can take other tools and stuff you built and package them in as a bonus. So like if you think about Max, he's got a guitar group. So all these guitar enthusiasts. Hey, we got a new Fender guitar. And we built some like AI tools in that case. So like one of them's like a lot of people said, I have arthritis and I can't play the song the way I used to. So I need like a modified, easier version. And so you can put any song into this AI thing, and it's, you know, it's just a ChatGPT wrapper, but it'll rewrite the song. So to play it in a simpler way, like, you know, try this strumming pattern, you know, do less chord changes, that kind of thing. And so instead of saying, you know, buy this Fender guitar from me, we say, if you get it through my link, you'll also get as a bonus my strumming thing for anybody who's got arthritis. And by just adding a little bonus, now it makes sense to buy it from us instead of someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that also kind of speaks to, because I think what I'm thinking is like with this audience is I can solve things that I know that they're having problems with, right? Because I've been through it already.
Yeah.
And so I can create tools that I know that will help them, like to your point, just like the arthritis thing with the guitar things, because he's just solving a problem, right?
Yep.
That he knows that he needs to solve. So I'm thinking if I can just use my expertise, and just solve problems in tools that I know that they're dealing with, I think that might work. But that's a great idea, is just add a bonus to something that already exists. And that's less for me to create too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the real magic of it is, I mean, like in the case of the guitar, we could sell 10,000 of them and it's no extra work for us.
Mhm.
Other than going, here's your GPT, enjoy, right? Like, here's your bonus, copy paste, but we don't actually have to do anything because, you know, the value's coming from the guitar itself they bought. It's coming from the conversation they're having with the AI that's teaching them how to play songs in a modified way. But it's not us in the trenches going, let me teach you one-on-one for an hour how to play guitar modified,
Right.
which works but has limited scalability. You know what I mean? Where it's just like it'll burn us out. I mean, that I think everybody who sells services, coaching, consulting, one of those things at one point will reach burnout. There are certainly ways past it, and I've coached a lot of people past it, but I'm like, if you sell tools, you don't even have to worry about it. You know, just
Right. Yeah.
find the next tool that'll help them and sell them that. Like they may be interested in health stuff, they may be interested in spirituality, yoga, supplements, you know, career advice, you know, relationship reconciliation, all kinds of things. And it's all on the table. And as I mentioned, as long as you're adding value in that process where you're actually selling them stuff that is useful to them, there's no point where they reach where they go, you know, fuck you, Amanda, I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
Right.
the real key, what most people don't think about, is don't sell them anything that you wouldn't sell to your grandmother. Like, if you got no affiliate commission, would you tell your grandma to buy it?
Right. Yeah. And are you finding that people are still pretty responsive to GPTs? Like, are people still liking those?
It depends on what they're doing, but like how I do them, that's different than what everybody else is I programmed them to solve problems that nobody else has solved. So in the case of like the guitar thing, part of the value isn't that like a GPT is so awesome. It's that there's nowhere else they can go and say, I got arthritis, I can't play this song the way I used to. It's the only thing in existence that I know of that does that. And also, by the way, you can bonus in other people's shit. Like if I went to YouTube and found somebody who's like has 3 videos on how to play guitar, even if you got arthritis, I could go to that guy and say, hey, I want to bonus in your videos as part of our package. And I guarantee you he would not say no. So part of this, which I call deal making, is understanding that everybody else's stuff is your stuff too, if you just know how to ask. And usually it's like, I want to share your stuff, I want to sell your stuff, I want to promote you, I want to give you money. Like usually some combination of those things is like, of course. Like, and I'll give you an example that's done in a real practical way. I have a friend who runs an e-commerce store and he was selling pizza stones. So for those of you guys who don't know, like pizza stones, it's like you stick it in the oven, it gets real fucking hot, and then you put the pizza on top and it makes the bottom crispy because it's like really hot. And he was having some success selling it, but it was like kind of wishy-washy. And he brought in a copywriter and the guy like rewrote all the copy and it didn't really change sales. And he brought in a friend of mine who's like an offer guy. And he said, why don't we improve the offer? And so he improved the offer with 2 bonuses. So one of the things he did is he went to a YouTube creator that made all these pizzas and said, can I take your 10 best, most popular videos for making pizza and bonus them in for anybody who buys a pizza stone? They're like, fuck yeah, dude, you can go. And then he went to another person who sold the Italian 00 Caputi flour that they use for like margarita pizzas and said, is there any way we could work out a deal? And the guy said, yeah, if you send me any customers to buy the flour, I'll give you a 50% off coupon. And so he changed the offer from buy a pizza stone to buy a pizza stone, get my 10 best recipes, and you'll get 50% off bag of flour when you go to make pizza. And it just started selling like gangbusters. But the reason I use that example is like neither the flour or the videos were his shit. He just like kind of creatively put them in there.
Does the deal maker thing that was up there earlier, does that talk about how to reach out to other people and kind of like work?
Yeah, it's got
like
templates for that. But you know, for those of you guys, you know, who may be in a situation like I've got all the templates, but if you guys are, you know, looking for the short version, anytime you're saying to somebody, I want to share and promote your stuff, or you're saying, I want to give you money, those generally, even when you're messaging strangers, get through. You know, the example I used in kind of my second book is the wife likes to buy a lot of like toys secondhand on Facebook Marketplace because my kids break everything within an hour. And then you go, why did I just spend $200 on some Amazon shit that you guys broke in 10 minutes? At least if I get it secondhand for $40, I feel less bad about it. And nobody ever struggles to message somebody on a marketplace when you're trying to give them money, ever. You know, that's outreach. But but like outreach is easy. Hey, is it available? How much is it? When can I pick it up? Like the conversations are easy because you're trying to give them money. Outreach is only hard when you're trying to get other people to give you money. And so a lot of what makes this work and makes it easy is that you're never asking anybody for money. You're saying, hey, I want to sell your stuff. I want to give you money. I want to, you know, I want to work out a deal with you. And so they're usually like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Right. When I ask Nick 1-for-1, hey, can I sell your templates and pay you a royalty? Fuck yeah, dude. Right. Like nobody ever says, no, you can't give me a royalty check. Absolutely not. That sounds terrible. Mike, I see you kind of chilling out, beach mode with your hands up, brother. Dude, I feel like we're going to cross paths
I am
in
indeed.
real life sooner than later, by the way.
For sure, bro. Buenas tardes. So I am getting into the coaching space, and I have someone just reach out to me on essentially, so all my meals are done with the air fryer, is a glass air fryer, and he just reached out to me now. He's like, yo, I can't find a way to like use his air fryer to cook my food evenly, that sort of thing. I'm wondering something like this, building out some sort of templated recipe guide, something around health coaching, workout plans, habits, stuff like that. Maybe you could dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. One of the things that I like to do, by the way, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but I like to test the idea before I even build it. So I just say like, hey, I'm thinking of building this templated thing. It would have all your recipes. It would make it super easy for you to know exactly what to buy. I'd give you a grocery list and all that. If I made that, would you want it? And now I get some like real feedback in the marketplace, because I've been guilty of building things that nobody wants. I don't know if anybody's ever, in 20 years of doing this, where you build things and then find out you're the only one who thought it was a cool idea. There you go. So
That's
Amanda's
great.
already said she'd buy an
Okay.
air fryer recipe book. But yeah, I always, and then the other thing too, by the way, is if you own an audience of those people, like that's the real asset, by the way, the owning the audience, which is why I put together this kind of offer. But if you own the audience, you can go to people like the actual air fryer manufacturers and say, I want to sell your air fryers because I believe in them. Could we work out a deal and you guys throw me a
Mm.
kickback every time I sell something for you? And you'd be amazed that they're like, fuck yeah, dude. They'll let you sell their air fryers, and you know, somebody's already got recipes, somebody's already figured out what to buy. Like a lot of times you're more organizing offers than actually creating them from thin air. You're like just figuring out what already exists that's valuable, and you're saving them 10-20 minutes of research of figuring it out. And then the other thing is, when you own the audience, you get the power of group buying. You know, if I say I want to buy an air fryer, nobody cares. But if I say to the company, hey, I just got a group of 17,000 people that are all health enthusiasts, and we want to recommend air fryers. We want to recommend your air fryer specifically. Is there any way we could work out a deal? They're far more open to play ball when you tell them I got 17,000 people.
Oh, that's gold. Okay, thanks. I on the easiest way I could also get Amazon affiliate referrals, that kind of thing. But I like that going to the manufacturer. What do you think about buying an audience related to my target customer in the health space?
I would. I mean, I actually not would just buy one audience. I would buy a few of them if it was me personally.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
it's just a much faster way. Like we had a guy in our deal makers group named Peter, and he went to a guy who had a YouTube channel of like something like 750, 800,000 people, like almost 1 million people, not quite there, but you know, on his way to 1 million. And he worked out a deal with the guy to sell a course. And I don't know how much money they made. You'd have to ask Peter, but I guarantee you, if he had tried to sell that course on his own without the 750, 800,000 people, the sales with and without that audience are probably massively different. I mean, I
Okay,
feel like
cool. And then
the biggest asset you can possibly own long term is your own audience. And the crazy thing is, like, people are giving them away every day. And the biggest reason, like, why people give away audiences, like for pennies on the dollar, is because they don't know how to monetize them. And the reason they don't know how to monetize them is because they don't know what they would sell. Like most people are not marketers. They don't, you know, I see this. I was talking to somebody, they're like, maybe I could sell a course, and I don't know. And like, and they make literally zero offers to their audience. They're expecting people to just raise their hand and be like, how do I give you money? But you need to like be like, I got a fucking air fryer and all my best recipes in one place, and you can get it here for now, 3 easy payments and blah, blah, blah. And if you're interested, drop a comment below and I'll send you the link. Like that thing has to exist for them to and so what happens is, like, to me, like if you could measure the financial success as a football field, 99 yards of it is building the fucking audience and building a relationship with them. 1% of it is making an offer and going, hey, you guys are interested in health. That's why I think you should own an air fryer. We got a special deal we put together. Like often the people who build audiences are 2 to 3 sentences away from getting paid for it. So like you think about Adam's case, he bought the group and then he said, who's interested in getting a sponsored listing in this group? And a guy signed up and paid him $500 a month for 6 months in like 10 minutes, right? The previous person who owned the group could have done that at any time. They could have posted those 2-3 sentences, but they don't. So like to me, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but I would buy a few audiences, not just one, because if you want to
Mhm.
scale your shit faster, you're going to find it way easier if you got interested groups of people. Like one of my first moves when I was doing the agency stuff and building it up, I reached out to a guy who had a Google Ads course. His name's Isaac. And he had sold like 250,000 copies of his Facebook group, but he actually runs a pay-per-click agency. And so he got really busy and he built a community on Facebook of 65,000 people that like literally were all buyers. They had all spent money to be part of that course. And he hadn't posted it in like 3 years. So I just went out to him and said, can we work out a deal? And he said, if you take care of them, it's yours. And he just gave me a 65,000 person buyers group for free. And it made it super easy to launch offers because I had, interested people already in the very thing I was doing, right? Like obviously I knew they were interested in Google pay-per-click or they wouldn't have bought a course on it. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I think it accelerates the journey if you have the audiences for sure.
So essentially the execution plan is test out the idea. Looks like there's already some people that would buy something like that, which is great. And then maybe get a few different lists and then have some sort of JV with them and then sell into that list. And then on the back end, into like coaching and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll tell you, coaching is a lot more fun when you actually don't need coaching clients. When it's like you do it because you want to and you like the people and you think it would be cool and you think it'd be helpful, but not because it's like, it's my primary driver of revenue and I need coaching clients.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so fulfilling helping them. And that's maybe the entry point. And it's like, okay, now you got this, but like, let's dial it in specifically. But this is a revenue sort of tripwire, if you will. And yeah, that's pretty epic. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know who came first, Russ or Nathan. So you guys gotta fight it out. Winner take all. We're gonna want you guys battle to the death.
Okay. So there is so I found a group that they don't want to sell it, but they're willing to monetize in it. So like if I pay them like $45 a month, I can sell whatever I want to there. Is that worth it?
Yeah, usually in those scenarios, like even though it's only $45, like the way I would hedge my risk is I'd say, cool, let's try it for a month or two. And you'll know in a month or two whether you can monetize it or not. And so worst case scenario, you're out $90. Best case scenario, you might make 100 grand from it.
Gotcha.
A lot of this stuff, you know what I realized, like just kind of giving you a little bit of backstory. I got into real estate about like 2.5 years ago, maybe two. I've wanted to do real estate forever. I'm a Canadian guy who lives in Mexico, but I know there's all this cool shit you can do with US real estate. And I was on a mastermind call and a friend of mine, mentor in the real estate space named Matt Larson, was talking about, I flipped 4,000 deals. I know how to do all this real estate shit. And I have virtual assistants that do it all. And I help other people get virtual assistants, but I've never figured out how to sell this stuff phoneless like you guys do. And I laughed and I reached out to him after the call and I said, Matt, like Frankie Finn don't have a lot of skills in life. I know it may seem like it, but one of those skills is I know how to sell shit phoneless and your stuff sounds like a slam dunk. Would you let me help you sell it? And I'll just like do it for a commission. And so I started doing it. And then he gave me a bunch of background info on the virtual assistants. And I said to him, do you think this could be done for somebody who's a foreigner? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, we got a guy in Mexico who's never stepped foot on US soil. He flips real estate in 8 different markets. So I ended up signing up. I got a whole team of VAs and, I just have a small team, but we do a little flipping. I do my flipping in Knoxville, Tennessee, wholesaling specifically. And, one of the things I realized is that all of the strategies that you can use in real estate to acquire stuff are just as true with digital stuff. So like, for example, one of the things you can do as real estate is called an option. So you go to somebody, you say, I'll give you $1,000. I want to lock in this price and I have the ability to buy it at this price for the next 6 months or 12 months or whatever you agree to. And then what you do is you try and find a buyer who's willing to give you a bigger price than that. And if you do, you execute your option. And if you don't, then you, worst case scenario, you lose $1,000 kind of thing. And obviously you do that strategically for one you think you can sell for a lot higher. But you can do the same thing with a Facebook group. You can just say like, hey, I'm not really sure I want to buy it. Would you let me try it out 2 months? And if at the end of that it's working out, we can keep going. Or sometimes like when somebody's interested in selling, I may say to them like, can I run a test post or two? Or if it's an email list, can I send a test email or two to just make sure it's a good fit for what I'm doing? I'll give you $50 for the test. And a lot of times they'll say, no, you can just have the test for free. And then you hedge your risk and you don't lose anything. But yeah, Melody says got a local Facebook group, charge $25 a month to post anytime they like. There you go. But point being is like you guys can do anything to hedge your risk on that. Like you don't have to like dive straight into like buying a community. You can go, let me try before I buy. Same way you could do with real estate. Real estate, like often what you'll do is you'll put it under contract with an escape clause so that if you can't find a buyer, you back out. So you'll give yourself like 90 days to find a buyer. And if you can't find a buyer in the 90 days, you say, oh, I didn't meet my inspection. You can do the same thing with acquiring a community. So that was kind of the whole point of that story. Is like part of this for me was realizing all this, the same shit you do in real estate was possible with digital stuff, just nobody does it. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but I'm always looking like, how can I hedge my downside and maximize my upside? Like that's investing 101. It's like worst case scenario, I'm going to lose X, best case scenario. And a lot of people, when they, as internet marketers, you have to think about this a lot in real estate. You don't have to think about this in internet marketer. Internet marketers are all about the upside. I'm going to be a millionaire. This is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. Because usually there is no real downside. It's like digital shit. And the worst thing is you waste time. Like almost always the worst of it is you waste time and maybe there's some rejection involved. Like there's emotional stuff, but you don't usually lose like 100 grand in the process or whatever. In real estate, if you do it wrong, you can definitely lose. So you have to like hedge your downsides. So like one of the simplest things you do is if you sign a contract, that contract is refundable and you can cancel at any time. So like I give myself 90 days to close on this property, but at any given moment I can cancel it and I can get a refund, right? And now I'm hedging my risk. So the worst case scenario is I can't find a buyer and we just say, sorry, doesn't meet our criteria. Best case scenario, we find a buyer and we sell it to the buyer for a bigger price than they're paying us. Russ, I don't know if you had something you wanted to add. I see your hand up. I never see you on video these days anymore, brother. Not that I don't know what you look like, but you're always hiding from us. I assume that means you're in the nude. I'm not judging, man. But kind of keeping with the original theme is like the minute you switch your stuff from service to templates, to service to tools, maybe one-to-one you'll be able to, you probably won't be able to charge as much money, but you'll be able to sell 100 times as much because your fulfillment life is basically zero. Sorry, go ahead, Russ.
Hey, Frankie. Sorry, I was looking for the mute button on my phone today and couldn't figure out how to unmute. So some of the stuff you've been talking about just got me thinking about my, what's been my primary business with dissertation coaching. And I'm wondering if there's a way to maybe acquire audiences of people who are in that dissertation coaching or dissertation space that might be interested in the AI tool that I've built using my own stuff, for an AI-based dissertation coach. And then I don't know the offer that you had in terms of being able to work together on starting to figure out how to monetize this sort of thing. If there might be some other deals you can think of that these folks might be in the market for. Now, I've told you before, they're generally speaking kind of short on cash. That's been my problem for a long time trying to help these folks, is that I'll present something that they think is a no-brainer in terms of the money, but where's the money? I need to be able to have money to pay for it. So they're short on that side, but I think maybe lower cost deals in volume might make up for that. Whereas most of the coaching I've done for all these years is one-on-one, so it's a higher ticket item.
Yeah. You
So
know,
I
you
don't
know what I
you know,
think,
what you
just
think
like,
about that, what the runway would look like.
I'll tell you what jumps out at mine, and this is just, you know, sort of brainstorming. I'm not saying this is a fact, but two parts of that. One, if I was thinking about like communities, they probably aren't self-organized in terms of like dissertation community. They're probably more just like, you know, PhD, getting my master's, those kind of things. And then in
Maybe,
there,
but there are actually some dissertation type communities. Like there's one, I forgot what they call it exactly, but it is something about, well, I'd have to look it up, but there are communities like that. I don't know exactly what their size is, how they're organized, or who owns them, and any of that sort of thing.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so the
But-
second piece I was going to say is, even though they're broke, at least in terms of coaching budget, they're spending money on something. And one of my favorite plays,
Yeah.
I learned this from this old investor named Jim Straw. So Jim Straw made like $500 million with a B in the 1950s, when that would be like 20, 30 billion by today's standards. And towards the end of his life, when he was like, the internet was coming out, he wrote a couple of reports, and he says, everybody gets making money backwards. He says, everybody tries to find something to sell. He said, I start with the buyer. And so one of the things Jim used to do that I thought was particularly brilliant is he would find home builders that were buying massive amounts of building materials, like massive amounts. So like, you know, concrete and wood and electrical wires and like, you know, all the shit that goes into a house. And he would go to them and say, hey, do you mind if I ask you, how much are you paying? Like, you know, I'm obviously like kind of bullshitting because I'm not like, these aren't work with your hands. These are internet hands. But you know, say they were saying, well, we're spending 22 cents a sheet of drywall. He would go to them and say, well, if I can get it to you for 20 cents, would you switch suppliers? And they would say, of course. And so he would make phone calls to different drywall suppliers and say, hey, I got this guy who's buying shit tons of drywall. He's currently paying 22 cents a piece. Can you get him a better deal? Because he's doing shit tons of volume and he's going to buy a lot from you. And somebody would say, yeah, I'll give it to you for 18.5 cents. And he would turn around and say, you got your deal. I got it for 20 cents a piece. Can we work out a deal? And he would become their new supplier. So I don't necessarily know what, but you have a lot of students and there's still things they're buying, like textbooks, you know, clothing, food. And one of the cool things about owning a community is you get group discounts that other people don't. So like, for example, like let's say I was right next to a college. If I go to the pizza place and I say, give me a discount on pizza, I don't want to pay full price. Fuck you guys. They'll probably throw you out of the building. But if you say, hey, we have a student community group of over 17,000 people, and we want to recommend your pizza place above all others. But in order to do that, we would need some sort of special deal that we could offer our members as like an exclusive. And so I suspect that there's group buy opportunities in your thing, is kind of the point I'm making. I couldn't tell you what group buys. Like you'd have to do a little bit of detective work. But you can go in there as the community owner and just say, like, we work out a deal. We're doing a lot of volume, and or we got a lot of people that could potentially do a lot of volume. And I'd be surprised if they didn't say, you know, hell yeah, motherfucker. Basically, hell yeah, motherfucker, you can sell a bunch of our pizza. And I think my first thought was textbooks. There's got to be somebody that's willing to play ball with you on textbooks, where you can save your people $5-10 off the price and make yourself $5-10 every time they buy a textbook. It's good for them, it's good for you, and the supplier gets to sell a bunch of books. Because even though they don't necessarily spend like, you know, $3,000 a month on coaching or whatever, they're still buying something. Like,
No, I understand. And the first thing I was thinking about is, again, you know, membership in this AI coaching program. I'm thinking about $20-50 a month. So it becomes a very different proposition for them to be able to afford it, when I can look at a group and say, I'm going to sell 100, 200 of these.
yeah,
That's worthwhile to me at that point. Trying to sell 100 or 200 of them one at a time,
yeah, that's
that's
put a
not
bullet in your brain.
worthwhile.
Totally.
Yeah, but if I can get, you know, basically, I guess that was the thought. That was the play that came to my head when you start talking about this. Is wow, if I could get a group of several thousand people and sell day one 200 of these $25 to $50 a month, AI coaching things, that would be a brilliant play.
I'm gonna actually
and I
read.
don't know if that's something.
Gonna read
I
a
was just going to
message.
say with the offer that you had in mind, I don't know if that's something that we could kind of work on together, figuring out where the groups are and get that going. And then, like you said, there's going to be other opportunities after that. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people are looking for groups in that space. So being able to pick
Almost
them up
nobody.
might not be
There's
too
very
hard. I
few
don't know.
buyers of it, which is why it has the same principles of real estate in the sense that the same techniques and strategies work. But unlike real estate, it's not like there's a marketplace like the MLS where a group gets listed and
Right.
everybody knows that's $150,000 home. It's worth whatever two people can agree to. And I want to read you the exact
Right.
message from this group, this AI group I just bought. Let me see what he said. Actually, I'll read you the conversation. Like, hey, Ben, your group looks perfect. Do you mind just telling me a little bit about it? So he responded to my post. And so I switched over to DMs. He said, hey, bro. I sent him a meme of Snoop Dogg, said, what's up, my home dog? He said, yeah, so I opened it a while ago, didn't post much, just moderated a bit, banned spammers, but I got into a few new projects, so don't actually have time for it. Right? Like that, just so you know, that's totally normal, that people start these
Yep.
things with good intentions and then, have other shit that's more important. So I'm not saying every group fits that description or every email list, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of them out there, like more than not, where they would be down to give you a deal. And like, for sure, you could sell your dissertation stuff there, as well as many other things.
Yeah. Right.
I like it though.
So do you mind telling me a little bit more about the offer that you had in mind? I know I checked out the webpage and like you said, it's just a payment link. So what would this do if we kind of work together on it?
Well, it's got all the tools and templates for how to message people, how to monetize them, things like that. And this is something I've actually been wanting to do for a while is I call it deal making, but get more people out of service delivery and into deal making, because it's the shift from becoming a service provider to an intellectual property renter. Like the richest guy I know in my hometown is this old Italian guy. I don't think he's alive anymore, but I haven't talked to him in like 20 years. So it's not impossible he could be alive, and he's got to be like 95 if he's still alive. But his name's Franco. And he owned 7 apartment buildings in a golf course. And the reason why he was the richest guy I knew back home is because he owned 7 apartment buildings in a golf course, right? It was kind of like self-explanatory. And so, like, if you think about an apartment building, is every month somebody rents access to his building, right? We're just doing the same kind of thing digitally. Just like the same way a landlord would do it. And so as far as the offer, it's just like, all the tools and pieces around it to go find them, to monetize them, set them up. Like I said, I've part of what I was figuring out is like actually getting people groups was easy. I did a free training in my group, and I usually when you do like free stuff, only a percentage of people like go act on it. So I was like, I wasn't expecting a high number of people, and I had like 30, 40, 50 people in the first week get a group for under $100. And I was like, holy shit, can't believe how many of you guys actually went and did it. And then immediately it was, how do I monetize? How do I monetize? How do I monetize? How do I monetize? So I spent the next year like kind of privately testing stuff with people, just working on monetization and templatizing it. And anytime somebody was like, oh, I was able to quickly monetize that, I was like, let's turn that into a template. So it's kind of my culmination. That it's not finished, just so you know, it's like not set in stone, like locked in forever. But there's like literally so much opportunity. I don't even have the ability to manage it. I tried actually building automations so that we could, because the hardest part of it is the way Facebook works specifically is if you post links, your reach will be dead. So if you just say like, go check out my affiliate links, you have to do it as a 2-step. You have to say who's interested in blank. And then when they reply, then you send them the link as a reply. And when you own like literally hundreds and hundreds of groups, it'll stop your ability to reply. And so I was trying to figure out how to automate it, but like Facebook just doesn't let you do it. It's like they have all these things to block bots and things like that. And so
I built
Mhm.
that.
that's kind of like been my challenge behind the scenes. But you know, I put together everything in terms of like templates for essentially how you can get a group and start monetizing it in the first 10 minutes. Like we've actually had like literally people monetize it in less than 20 minutes from the moment they take over a community. So I don't know if that explains everything. I'm probably bad at explaining my own offers. I don't know if any of you
Well, it
guys
certainly
had any
sounds like
other.
something worthwhile.
Yeah, this has
By the
been a
way,
big shortcut for
how do
me
you
because
manage the group itself? Like outside the monetization, in order to keep the group to being something viable, I assume you have to put some sort of nurturing into the group. So how do you handle that part?
those are part of the templates that I built up. Like
Okay.
I mean, I don't have all of Facebook figured out, but I have my own process for how to monetize communities. It's really like a couple of different things. One I call like a hand raiser when you're selling stuff. Then I have things that I call engagement bait. They're things I post just to train people to respond.
Mhm.
And sort of bump the algorithm. And there's a whole like art and science to that. But I have a cheat code for that. Like there's a website I go to and I find out where really active discussions are already happening, and then I slightly modify it to my community, and then people like, so you can take what was a dormant thing, and a lot of it you're just tapping into what people are already talking about. You know, like
Okay.
when Will Smith
So
slaps the shit out of Chris Rock, like that's what they're talking about. So if you can,
newsjacking. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah, newsjacking. That's a good word for it. But I got a couple of
So,
different things for like reviving it and reviving the conversation, even if it's been dead. Because
okay.
people still have their own self-interest. And so if you know how to tap into the self-interest, like you can take what was dormant 5 minutes ago and make it active again. But certainly there is an element of nurture in there for sure.
And then do you take these groups and somehow continue to grow them? Or, is that something that is organic and they just grow themselves?
Yeah,
Or
usually when you get to a certain
are the
size,
groups
there's an organic thing that takes place and it starts growing just from that.
okay? So these aren't groups that you're monetizing as they dwindle away. These are groups that are actually continuing to grow and should be around for a long time.
Yeah, you'd be amazed at how dormant groups, like groups that nobody is even fucking posting and can continue to grow. Because what happens is usually
Yeah.
it's around like 3,000 in my experience. Once a group crosses around 3,000, Facebook will start recommending the community, even if it's like nobody's posted there in a month. The templates are inside the gold mine thing that I mentioned. I'll post a link for you. Honestly, the templates and shit are really just if you guys want to go faster. Like just being totally real with you guys, like everything I showed you today, you could go use this and not need me. But if you want to shortcut it a little bit, that's my link for you. And there's not really a lot there other than just a link just to some payments. Oh, also I should mention I have to add you guys manually. So if you do sign up, like give me an hour to get you in there. Amanda, part 2.
Well, I would just kind of following up on that. I'm assuming that we kind of have to check to make sure it's not totally overrun with spam, right?
Correct.
Because like I've seen
Correct.
some of these groups where it's like it's literally all there is.
If it's spam, like yeah, run.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm like some is probably fine, but not just complete.
And I should just say that Facebook is my flavor of choice, but actually the same exact templates. I bought a little bit of YouTube channels just for like practice, and also email list. I've inquired about Instagram channels the same way, and people have said yes. I still haven't figured out Instagram. I'm just not an Instagram guy. I fucking hate it. So if if you wanted to buy an Instagram thing with the same exact templates, like it works on different platforms, you can acquire basically anything because there's almost always somebody who built an audience. Usually in this day and age, like all you got to do to be famous TikToker is have one of these and record and talk and shoot your mouth off. But very few of them actually know how to monetize. And I'm part of a couple of different like social media communities. You would be amazed at how somebody says almost every day, I got 1.2 million followers and I don't make 2 nickels from it. How do I make a single penny from it? And like those are ripe for being monetized with affiliate offers and things like that. things like that. Easy way to find informal email lists and newsletters. I built my own ChatGPT deep research tool for doing that. I haven't added it to that Goldmine thing yet, but I will. But basically, I just ask it. I say, hey, I'm looking for email lists. Like if I was trying to acquire an agency owners list, I'm looking for people who got email lists related to websites, SEO, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, things like that. Can you go find me a list of them? And then I just contact and say is like, usually, by the way, with email lists specifically, before I offer to buy it, I ask if I can run like $50. Can I run a sponsored email? Do you guys do any sponsored emails? And usually they go, I don't know. We've never done a sponsored email. What would you charge? And I'm like, hey, if I give you $50, can I send an email? Just let people know. And usually it's like a low ticket offer. And almost always, if the list is worth buying, I'll make back at least the $50 on the first email. If I don't, then it's usually a sign it's not worth buying. And if you make your money back on the first email, then it's usually like, hey, out of curiosity, would you ever sell this thing? I'd give it a good home. I'd take care of it. It looks like you spent a lot of time building it and just don't have time to maintain it. But that's kind of what I do. I just have ChatGPT do deep research. I give it a list of what I'm looking for. I'm probably going to do more and more of this stuff with AI because like the ability to sell AI tools is so fucking endless. It's literally endless. And you can create a lot of value for people where AI is the fulfillment. Like I can't iterate that detail enough. AI is the fulfillment. Yeah, totally. And even the AI people, the people building AI newsletters and groups and tools and Instagram channels, like very few of them, even though they're probably marketers, so they're a little bit more advanced, a lot of them don't know how to monetize the shit they got either. In fact, a good friend of mine is Jonathan Mast, who's a brilliant dude, but he was sitting at my house. He came to one of my events. We went swimming with whale sharks together. He's a pretty agile big man. He had a giant, well, he still has a giant following, but he wasn't like monetizing it to nearly the level that I thought he could. And we sat there and just mapped out his monetization. And in the last year, he's like, he's crossed multiple millions in income from his community. And that was not the case when he was sitting on my couch.
Isn't he like a perfect example too of selling tools? Like
Yeah.
that's
Right. We literally schemed that up on my couch. I was like, dude, stop
awesome.
trying to be, I'm your custom guy. Stop trying. Like he was doing some of the same things you were doing, Amanda. He was like, I'll build your custom setup and my team. I was like, no, dude, build the tools and go rent the tools. And we kept saying why. And he's like, he compared it dollar to dollar going, if I do a custom setup, I can charge $3,000. If I rent the tools, I might only be able to rent them for $299. And I was like, yeah, now add up the energy you spend fulfilling. Tell me which. And when he realized the tools had endless amounts of scale, we started selling those. And that's when he's like really took off. I told him
and
he's
selling to all kinds of people too, like everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He told me because we actually discussed that every time he does a training or a tool, like on average, it's usually around $70,000 he makes every time he does it. It's pretty wild to me.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's a super smart guy. Like, it's not like everything he knows, I taught him. Far from it. I just mean that he was doing so much custom stuff that the constraint wasn't his ability to sell it. It was keeping up with all the fulfillment and demands. And so I said, the more you become a tool dealer and the less of I'm trying to be like an agency in the background, I'm your custom AI guy. I was like, you can make just as much money finding 10 people who want to do it and recommend them. And every time you recommend them, say, give me a referral fee because I recommended you. And you can make just as much not doing it as you can actually doing it. And yeah, and the constraint on all of that becomes your time. As long as you can sell, like fulfillment will just bury you. And I'm not saying it can't be done. Like you can hire people and build teams and systems and stuff like that. Like I've taught a lot of people that, but I just fucking hate that shit. I just hate it. Like, and it's not what I like doing. Like, and the more you get into the tools, you can be more of a big idea person. You can bring a lot of value to people without actually bringing a lot of extra work. Like, I think of Tarek. when he was trying to sell websites one-to-one, every time he got a new client, he would have 16 meetings and back and forth. The minute he just started trying to resell the website he already built, not only was it easier from a fulfillment, but he could make a killer offer too. He could say, like, I'll install it on your domain, try it out. If it doesn't start eliminating the tire kickers for you, I'll put the old site back. But when it does work for you, at the end of 2 months, just rent it for $199 a month. And I was like, dude, you're getting $2,400 a year per website, and you don't even have to make the website because it's already fucking made. It's like every time you sell it, it's already made. Like, how many cleaning companies can you sell to when the deliverable is essentially like 10 minutes of setup? So, but to Jonathan's point, you know, it's really similar to you, Amanda, is like, you know, he was making not nothing. I suspect, you know, I don't know the exact numbers, but a few $100,000, but he was just drowning in doing it and building these custom, like, I remember he told me he had a client who came to him and they were in Peru and they were sort of doing like newsjacking. So the company, like an article would go live in Peru and say such and such happened, and they would create spin-off content because there's like an hour or two where people would Google it. And he built this complex automation that would scan with Perplexity the web, like every 10 minutes it would scan for new news articles, and then it would create spin-off thing. And, you know, he got paid a few $1,000s to do it because it was a complex automation. I was like, how long did it take you to do that? And then I worked it out to an hourly rate. And then I was like, compare that to tools where you just made $70,000 in an hour and you're done fulfillment in an hour. Which one of those is more leverage? And so I think there's a point you reach, which it sounds like you're there too, Amanda, where leverage becomes the issue, not your ability to sell it, right? Like if you, like, you know what you're talking about, you know, you have good stuff, but if every time you sign up clients, you make shit tons of work for yourself, then it's the drowning in the work that stops you from selling more of it.
And it's just not fun, to your point. Like, I have a client that nice people and everything, but I counted the emails, you know, there's been, I think, like 42 emails between her and I in this past week. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. It is not fun.
Yeah, can I give a big thanks to you and Mike? You guys were actually the ones who inspired this whole trading. I was like, shit, I was like, George made a little intro and I was like, that's been my model for the last 3 years, is I'm an intellectual property dealer. It's hard actually because I go to the like events and people go, what do you do? And it's not easy to say, well, I own audiences and rent intellectual property to them and have it say that in a way where everybody understands. But that's truly my business model. And then I do coaching because I enjoy it, but not because I need to. Sorry, Mike. You're up, my dude. Dude, you got a way cooler setup than the rest of us. Wherever you're at, it's pretty awesome.
I'm in Tulum. It's pretty dope. You know, just to piggyback off that, what's interesting, I've had agencies for many years, and that I've developed, I think that the more clients, more work is actually more pain. So like I think my belief system is like, I don't even want to grow my business because that's more pain to doing that. And it's more complexity, all of that. So now I'm like rewiring the business model to something where it's like more revenue, more clients, like it's not more pain. And that's why this is so interesting, because the client work is just like, I don't even want to work. But now with this, it's like, I want to work and it just gets exciting. You know what I mean? So it's my whole belief system around making money is now being flipped. So I just want to share that.
That's nice, dude. I went through the same thing. So just so you guys know, I learned this from a mentor of mine named Travis Sago. And if you spend 7 years in Travis Sago's mastermind, you will definitely not see the world the same way you did previously. And one of the things that he taught me is that there's all these digital assets that are floating around. So there's real world assets too. So like, I don't know if you guys read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I did. Thought it was a pretty life-changing book, but I didn't know how to use it. So it was like, he talks about, you want your money to come from assets. So you want to own real estate, you want to own stocks and bonds and, you know, gold and silver and things that are worth money. And I agreed with all of that, but I was like a digital guy. Like I didn't own any, I didn't have any companies I was buying. I didn't have like real estate I owned, at least then. And I was, you know, I didn't know how to get real estate. And so I was like, that all makes sense to me. You want your money to come from assets, not from you, but I didn't know how to do with it. And then Travis showed me that there were digital equivalents of all of those things. And the most valuable asset of all of them to me is called distribution, which is owning the audience. It's like, if you think about a TV station, like why do TV stations make all the money they do? Because they got the people watching, so they can rent out advertising. If you think about Facebook, because we talked about Facebook, like that's literally their business model. They just rent out advertising again and again and again and again and again and again and again because they control the attention. And so Travis, uses an example where he was broke and starting out as an internet marketer, and he was like literally faced with there's going to be no more presence under the tree this year if I don't in the next 2-3 weeks figure something out. And what he figured out was he went and called around and he got a list of all the fax numbers. This was back in the day when you could still like send unsolicited faxes, so kind of like cold outreach. And he found out that a lot of businesses were especially interested in the people who worked at offices in the area. And so he got all the office fax machine numbers, or a large percentage. There were like 30. So he got a list of like 30 fax machines. And then he went to restaurants and said, would you be interested in being able to broadcast fax your lunch specials to the office workers? And so he rented access to that list and had, like 10 people pay him like $500 a month, and he got $5,000 and was able to buy presents. And, he didn't have to do what my mom did and say, Santa Claus doesn't have any money this year. He's skipping our house. Like, give me the sob story. So, so he was able to do that. But the real asset was he owned the fax list. He owned the distribution of that. He could rent out the distribution again and again and again. And it's interesting because I spent like 15 years trying to figure out how to sell stuff, and also how to sell my stuff specifically. And the longer I do this, the more I'm like, I actually just want to own and control the audience. Like, what does Facebook sell? Nothing, just access. They rent access to you. You go put in your credit card and you pay them for access to their people. Google and Facebook are two of the most profitable companies that have ever existed. And all they do is they rent data, right? They control the distribution and they rent data. And so I was like, the longer I do this, the more I'm like, I want to own and control the audience and put together deals on tools, because tools free me from fulfillment. And as long as you do that, like you have almost unlimited upside. Yeah. And part of it is on that, Amanda, is like I said, like the role shifts from I have to provide the value to I'm more like quality control. Like if you run an event, you might have 30, 40, 50 speakers at your event. Your goal is not to stand there and speak for 50 hours over 3 days. Your goal is to sift through who are the good people that are worth having on my stage for the purpose of this event. I think like that's the shift, is like, and a lot of times you don't even have to go looking for it. If you control the audience and you're visible, they'll come to you and go, Amanda, what do you think about this product? Amanda, what do you think of this software? Hey, have you tried this tool? Have you tried that one? And then finding out if it's good is like literally just asking somebody else in the same audience. Hey, Dave, have you ever tried this Closebot thing? Somebody's asking me. Oh yeah, it's fucking great. Okay, cool. Yeah, you should buy Closebot. It's good. Dave likes it. But if you think about it, like your value as like the quality control, like making sure the good speakers get on the stage, there's less to actually physically do. And I think it just goes a lot of it, like, just being real with you. I think there's like, I know very few internet marketers that were already rich before they started. Almost all of us start out poor and middle class. And so we have poor and middle class values just beating the fuck into our heads. Like, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. I actually remember my father-in-law, old German guy, when he comes to visit, he's always shit talking me because I don't know how to fix anything. I like literally don't know how to fix anything. Light bulb breaks. I'm like, I call the guy. And I take a lot of it, just like it's humorous. It's fun. So it's like, it's not all that serious. But every now and then he kind of twists the knife a little too far and says like, don't you want to learn how to fix a light bulb? Like, you got to be a real man. And I look at it and I say, hey, listen, I make $1,000 an hour doing what I do. This is $20 an hour shit, even in Mexico. Like, I would lose $980 in this hour trying to learn how to do this thing. How many people do you know that can make $1,000 in this hour? So like it costs me money to go learn this thing. And then you can see his hamster wheel turning like shit. Would I rather be the guy, the $20 an hour guy knows how to fix it, or the guy who made $980 that hour outsourcing it? And there's a tendency with those poor and middle class values to think you got to earn it, you got to work for it. Like he literally built their first house with his bare fucking hands, brick by brick, no machines. It took him like 3.5 years, and he's like so proud of that. And I'm like, I think about the real estate acquisition we do. We market and call people who have a house they no longer want, and like in an hour we got a house that's just as good as the one that took them 3.5 years to build. Yeah. But the boomers, man, they sure programmed us with you got to work for it, you got to earn it. You know, it's almost dirty if you didn't do a lot. Like if you buy a group and then turn around and go, hey, who wants a sponsored post? And in like Adam's case, you get $500 a month for something that took you less than 20 minutes to set up, and it's recurring with nothing to do. So in his case, it's like month 2, month 3, month 4, you're literally doing nothing. It can sometimes step really hard on those poor and middle class values that said you have to earn it, you got to do something, you got to. But I always remind myself, I am providing value for people. I'm just doing it through tools. I'm not doing it through individual effort. Like if I help you do an automated text follow-up, in your case, Amanda, and have CloseBot manage the responses, and I templatize all that for you and make it real easy for you to do it. The value is every time a text message goes out, it's a quality text message. You know, yeah, it's all automated, but I set it up so it was super easy for you. The value is how easy I made it for you, not that I'm doing anything. Well, cool. If you guys are down, I'd actually like to do more of this shit because I have a real passion about talking about this. We can call this a recording in a day, but I'd be down to do more on like pimping tools because I think pimping tools is the future.